You know how sometimes on Instagram you see these influencers post a story asking their followers to ask me anything on a certain topic, and then everyone sends them these questions and the influencer answers in their next video. Well, I am not an influencer, nor am I famous. And the last time I posted on Instagram was April 2022. So instead, here are some popular questions on fashion design that I found on websites like Quora and Reddit. Questions that seemed to be getting a lot of traction, questions that I find interesting myself. So let's go through them. And these are my brutally honest answers for them. Let's get started. So, question number 1. What does your resume look like as a fashion designer? So I currently work as design manager for Myntra.com, and previously I was working as a designer for the Landmark Group. And the resume that has served me well these past 6 to 7 years is actually just a plain basic black and white PDF. I don't have anything fancy on there. No photos, no borders, no colors, no graphics, nothing fancy-ish. Just a white sheet and black text. The format kind of looks like this, and it's just one page. I have stuck to this look for all of my career, and I'm not going to tell you that this is the right way of making a resume, but this is what has worked for me, and if you want, you can try it as well. Keep in mind, however, that the recruiter or the HR of a specific company who has, say, received like 50 resumes for a particular role, he or she will take about 30 to 60 seconds to run through each resume. And because of that, don't go overboard with any colors or border or anything that will distract him from what he needs to see. And what he needs to see is that you graduated from so-and-so college and you scored so much of a CGPA, and then you moved on to work at so-and-so company, and any keywords that show what you did there and for how long, along with any design or sales metrics that show the areas that you contributed to and thereby improved. And of course, your portfolio link. Question number 2. Is a degree in fashion design necessary to get a job as a fashion designer? So this is a tricky question. What I have seen on a general note is that if you are planning on working in a corporate company, that is designing for the mass market, for companies like the Landmark Group, Reliance, etc., then yes, you will need a bachelor's in fashion design. If you don't have one, then you will at least need a diploma in fashion design. It is the most basic requirement that a company will check for before even inviting you for an interview at the company. However, if you are planning on starting your own design studio or your boutique, or you are planning to work for another designer who owns a design studio or a boutique, in that case, you don't really need a design degree. In that case, a lot of the design skills that you need can just be picked up on your own or through online courses or through YouTube even, like embroidery, stitching, embellishing, etc. Pick these up on your own, put together a portfolio showing these skills, and you can bag any opening that is there out there with a designer. A degree will be useful here, but not necessary, because it is your experience that counts more in this case. Question number 3, is a master's in fashion design necessary? So similar to my previous answer, there are designers that start their own boutique or their design studio, or designers that work for other designers. Again, in this kind of role, no, you don't really need a master's. But if you want to work in corporate, companies like the Landmark and Reliance, like I mentioned previously, then yes, you could use a master's if you are keen on taking up more managerial positions. In the corporate world, you will see that those that rank in the upper sections of the hierarchy most often have a master's degree. And when it comes to promotions, you will have the upper hand if you have a master's. Moving to question number 4. Is it necessary to graduate with a bachelor's from a top fashion institute in India? So, fun fact, I myself did not graduate from a top fashion design institute in India, so I think I am in a good position to answer this question. The simple answer is yes. Try your best to get into NIFT or Pearl or any other A-grade top-tier college in India. I will tell you why by telling you about my story. Many years ago, when I first graduated, finding a good job for me was honestly such a struggle because I did not graduate from a top-tier college. They did not have any connections or networks with the big companies out there, And most importantly, they did not have a placement cell for fashion design students who were graduating that year. So as soon as I graduated, I was completely on my own when it came to finding a job. And guys, I honestly cannot tell you how difficult that was. As a fresh graduate, trying to convince companies that I was good enough to join them was extremely hard because they could not trust that I would make a good fashion designer simply because they did not know much about the institute that I came from. One thing that made my journey a little bit easier were my marks on my CGPA because I was one of the toppers in my batch. But even with that, it was so hard to just get myself into a good company, and it took me so many months. But back then, although it was a struggle then, I should say that today the struggle is much, much more. Why? Because fast forward today, companies will literally state in their job openings posted that they want a graduate from NIFT or Pearl and the like. I also know this very, very well because I have interviewed candidates for positions like design associate, design assistant, etc. And the final selected candidate that I went for was always from a top institute. Because here are the facts. Your employer needs to know that you came from an institute of good standing, a school that is known to have exemplary education given, a school that has been thorough with teaching their students all the workings of a fashion designer, a school that is top tier and thereby you are top tier. So my advice is try your very best to get into one of the top institutes, guys, because now more than ever, companies are really looking at where you come from. Question number 5. What is the scope of fashion design in India? The scope of fashion design is honestly as big as any other field in India. I am not sure why a lot of people ask this question, but there are so many opportunities out there for you guys. Apart from designing itself, you can take up styling, buying, merchandising, photography, consulting, illustration, graphic design, etc. For those of you who are truly passionate and willing to be the best in your field, the scope is honestly unlimited. Question number 6. How much does a fashion designer make throughout the years? So a lot of it depends on which college you graduate from and what your CGPA was. There is a lot of detail that I should get into to explain this question, but I will just run through the surface of it. If you graduate from one of India's top institutions and if you have a high CGPA, then your first job could pay you a salary as high as 30,000 per month, maybe even more. If you are from a lesser-known institute or you have a low CGPA, you will get paid between 15,000 to 25,000 per month. Now, let's talk about the average career trajectory of a fashion designer. When we gain about 3 years of experience, we normally get paid about 6 to 7 lakhs per annum. And when you gain about 7 years of experience, you could be making about 12 to 14 lakhs per annum. When you hit 10 years of experience and you move to more higher positions like senior design manager or design director, honestly, you could get a lot. It could be anywhere between 20 to 50 lakhs per annum. And even higher positions like vice president or president of design, the sky is the limit for your salary. But keep in mind that those were just estimates. The salary offered to you will depend on a lot of factors, including the previous companies that you have worked for, your performance there, how well do you match the job requirements that the company needs, your negotiation skills, of course, if you are starting out, your alma mater and your CGPA like I previously mentioned, etc. So that is all for today, guys. If you have any question that you are struggling to find an answer for, you can list them in the comments below and maybe I will make like a part 2 of this video where I can answer those questions. So I hope I was able to give you guys some clarity on how the industry functions, what you can expect when you join the industry. And give this video a big thumbs up if you want to see more, and see you in my next video. Bye-bye.